I'm Barry Funkhauser, and this is the Barry Funkhauser Show. Well, here's what's in the news today. Well, there's mounting frustration for mountain locals trapped under snow. A Florida man contracts brain-eating amoeba through tap water. And an Iowa cemetery takes out a personal ad for a goose whose mate died. With me, as always, is General Know-It-All and current events guy, Joe. Are you still excited about getting to Mountain High, even though people are stuck up nearby there? And it might be too much snow. I mean, look, we went a couple of years without snow, and now we've got too much snow. Are you not worried at all?
No, because I'm not going to Crestline, Barry. That's where the Ralphs collapsed. But that's a crazy story, though. I'm pretty sure it was a Ralph's. I was talking to the guy at Valser.
No, man, I've been there. I was there at the dawn of COVID. I have a friend that lives in Crestline that bought a cabin, and we went there for a week. And it's the only grocery store around, and it's independent. And
it was an independent, but it's a grocery store, right?
Right. When you go in there, it's like straight out of 1968.
Right. Okay. So we're talking about the same place. It used to be a Ralph's.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, but I haven't been to Crestline in like 20 years. So, yeah, well, it might be. You know why I haven't been to Crestline in 20 years? They don't have snowboarding. That's why. So it's like going to the mountains. Like if I'm going to go to the mountains, I want to get on the slopes. No, but that was crazy because it's a big box warehouse. Like we all know what big box warehouses look like. They got 7 feet of snow on their roof across the entire roof, and it collapsed, just like straight collapsed down. Luckily, it happened overnight and there was no one inside. But you're right, because it was the only grocery store in that entire town, and all of the highways up there in those mountains are now closed. So people have been there. They've been like air vacuuming supplies into Crestline, Arrowhead, Big Bear in the San Bernardino Mountains because it's gotten
well,
crazy.
Kind of. The sheriff's department is blocking private helicopters from dropping off goods. So there's been some controversy there.
Sure. Private helicopters that aren't coordinating with the rescue and the other teams up there. You can't just have like hundreds of random helicopters all going to the same place at the same time. Come on, guys, coordinate.
Yeah.
I'm sure that they would be happy with you guys to like drop off your supplies and just have like the fire copters just take it up there.
Yeah, and the locals are a little worried about how they're opening it up, because as they open up these streets, everyone on the street is flooding out, creating these hours-long traffic jams to try to get off the mountain. So they're saying like it's good that they're going slow and opening all these up, because if they did just open everything up, like they can't even get the plows out to plow because there's too much traffic in the way from people trying to get out of there.
The crazy thing is that have you ever taken the back route from Big Bear down?
No.
Okay, so usually that route, let me just get the actual.
That goes to like almost Joshua Tree, right?
Not even close. When you go down, you take the 18 down, and that takes you past Cactus Flats, which is like an off-road vehicle place. What it does is it drops you into Lucerne Valley on the 18, and then it drops you at the 18 and Pear Blossom Highway, the 247.
Okay.
So yeah, if you were to make a right, yes, you follow that down for 100 miles and you get to Yucca Valley. So yes, in essence, yes, it kind of drops you off, like toward Joshua Tree. You make a left out of there and you get to like the Victorville area, Apple Valley area. So it's interesting. But I bring that up is because the 18, I have never seen the 18 close in my life. Like there have been massive snowstorms, but the 18 is like an actual highway. It's like 3 lanes each way, both directions for most of it. So that is never ever and it's been closed. Usually like when the front range closes, the 33 and the 330, then they're like, oh, don't worry about it. We'll bring them in. We'll bring in supplies from like Victorville or Apple Valley. They'll be fine. But even that's been closed. So that's why people are freaking out up there. And that's why everyone's like, oh, the instant a road opens, everyone's like, nope, I'm out.
Yeah.
Because, they're not used to being trapped in a house for a week. And, a lot of people went up there thinking they're only going to be there for the weekend and only brought like 2 days worth of food.
Yeah, that's another thing. Well, let's listen to the news report on it here, Joe. Listen.
Tonight, the San Bernardino County officials are tweeting that nearly 80% of the roads maintained by the county have been plowed. Still, that leaves a lot of desperate people in our local mountains. They are frustrated as the days tick by with no relief from the massive piles of snow that keep them trapped. I talked to some of them about their experiences and their call for action.
Now, my biggest message is, why can't you just let residents come home?
Frustration hitting a boiling point in the San Bernardino County mountains as they enter day 12 following the start of what's been called a once-in-a-generation storm. Running Springs resident Janelle Hendrickson says she needs to get to work to feed her kids.
I was told if I do go down to work, most likely I won't be able to come home for a couple days, up to 2 weeks. Roads are iffy. In some spots, they are down to one lane, but they're drivable.
Food drop-offs that they have had are in certain areas, and we're actually 6 miles away from that.
Lake Arrowhead resident Carol Klovicki says her husband and neighbors are all elderly. During a typical storm, they'd hire a private contractor to plow their roads, but this time, not possible.
It was too much for the regular guy to get through, and we have been told by the county that we would not be plowed. The only help we are getting are the people, the mountain neighbors. They're our heroes.
Carol worries about her adult son, Ryan, who has stage 4 cancer.
His deck fell. His roof is compromised. He's a stage 4 cancer patient. And luckily, with the mountain volunteers, they helicoptered his medication up to him and delivered it to his door.
Ryan's fiance, Audrey, says they were incredibly moved by the help of so many.
That whole thing right there has gotten me in tears.
Audrey echoes what others have said. She thinks there urgently needs to be a better system to get residents in and out of the mountain roads.
You could do blocks of people, make it's only these 40 on this hour, and that's it. But not allowing any up at all is just maddening.
Sherry, who snowed in like the rest, says her family's been trying to find the silver lining as her elderly mom battles stage 4 breast cancer. They're finding joy in moments like this, when they made a sled out of a baby bathtub and an extension cord. Baby Sequoia's laughter, the medicine they needed, the reminder there is more good than bad.
One happy thought ending to this terrible crisis we're going through right now is just the love of community.
So heartwarming, right? And so stupid. Why aren't you prepared living in the mountains? You knew the storm was coming. They talked about it for a month ahead of time, basically.
Because it's the thing that happens all the time. Like, oh, like the sky is falling, and then it doesn't fall. And if you do that enough times, people are like, yeah, it's gonna be fine. That's what happened, I think. Anyway, correction. The 18 is a one-way highway each way.
Oh,
I want to make sure. Like, it's not 3 lanes. Like I was saying, I don't know where my brain was going with that. It's a one-way highway, and yeah, it drops you.
You're supposed to know these things doing the fake traffic report.
I know. My fake traffic report got all screwed up today. Anyway,
gosh.
But yes, one of these days you have to go down there. But yeah, I'm people are helping each other out like a good community would. So that's nice. But no, like coordinate with the actual fire and rescue people. Don't try to like get private helicopters to bring up your supplies just for you.
Yeah,
don't do that. Anyway,
well,
I think everyone's going to be fine up there.
They think a little different up there in the mountains, that's for sure. All right, today's show is brought to you by
Valsurf, LA's source for all things surf, skate, and snow. Selling footwear, apparel, and gear since 1962. Visit their shop online at valsurf.com. .
All right, more news. Health authorities say that a Charlotte County man became ill after using an unfiltered tap water in a neti pot. This is very disturbing, Joe. Listen.
If you've got sinus issues, you've probably seen a neti pot before. It's used to clean your nose out, but if done the wrong way, you can get sick.
Because that is the pathway for Naegleria to work its way into the cerebral spinal fluid in the brain.
Naegleria fowleri, aka the brain-eating amoeba, health officials believe someone in Charlotte County contracted it through the same thing we're showing you now. Though the Department of Health can't tell us much about the patient, we know the stats.
Yeah, right now it's 97% deadly.
What ends up happening is the infection overwhelms the body, and it's unfortunately it's highly dangerous and fatal.
The CDC says cases are extremely rare, with less than 5 cases on average a year in the U.S. Most don't even come from the situation we're seeing now.
The way that Naegleria fowleri enters the body and causes disease is actually through the nose. And so when we see cases, as you mentioned, they're often associated with lakes or rivers or ponds. We think that the most likely mode of transmission for those cases is actually that the water enters the nose forcefully when they're jumping, swimming, diving.
Symptoms are much like meningitis: fever, headache, nausea, hallucinations. But we don't want to scare you. There are ways to protect yourself.
Use distilled water when performing nasal rinsing. And so Naegleria fowleri can get into water in lots of different types of water. And that's one of the reasons that we recommend always using sterile water to perform nasal rinsing.
The common misperception is, can I drink the water? Can I bathe with the water? Can I cook with the water and everything? And the answer is yes.
Oh, but I'm staying away from all that. I mean, even at the slightest chance that I'm going to get a brain-eating amoeba from the water, guess who's drinking bottled water? I don't even care if it's Dasani at that point.
No, but the drinking isn't the issue. You can drink water, tap water, all day long and not get this. The problem is the neti pot. Just don't use a neti pot, people. I've never understood. Like, I had a neti pot and I used it like once and I was like, what is the freaking point? Like,
well, doesn't it drain out?
I mean, I guess, but why? Like, there are so many other things that you could use. And yes, people are just really dumb. We have known not to use tap water with a neti pot for like 20 or 30 years because of flesh eating bacteria.
Oh, really?
We've known this is not news. This is not a new story. This is like, we get a story like this literally once a year because someone was dumb, used tap water in their neti pot, and died because they got this brain-eating amoeba flesh bacteria thing. So no, just don't use a neti pot. Like, don't use a neti pot. But this is also the reason why I don't go swimming in lakes, or rivers mostly. I only go into the ocean when it's warm water, like in Hawaii.
Okay,
I just don't. No,
yeah. I mean, 5 people a year, still too many people a year.
Still too many people a year. Anyway, yeah. I take the there's this really funny quote in, oh gosh, I think it was Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, where his old archaeological buddy is offered water in a crowd in Egypt, and he's like, no, fish make love in it. I totally take that to heart, and that's why I don't go into public into water sources outside of my home, because fish make love in it.
You're not going there chasing waterfalls, man.
That's so funny. Yeah. But yeah, no, just don't use a neti pot and you're going to be fine. There are plenty of other, relief sources for you. So, and if you do use a neti pot, come on, distilled water, or just like, you got to boil tap water, like, to a ridiculous amount and kill everything in it. Let it cool down and then use it. Don't use boiling water in a neti pot, please. That'd be bad.
All right, more news on the Barry Funkhauser Show. Now, this one is fun, Joe. Listen to this.
Oh, finally.
Blossom the goose lived on a pond at a cemetery in Iowa with her mate, Bud. Well, when Bud died, the cemetery staff saw Blossom's grief and decided to help in the form of a personal ad.
Finally tonight, CBS's Steve Hartman goes on the road with a couple of lovebirds you have to see to believe.
To me, some of the saddest tombstones are the incompletes, the couples where one has passed but the other still present, buried above, under a mound of loneliness, such as the case of Blossom the goose.
Last August, Blossom lost her mate, Bud. They lived on the pond here at Riverside Cemetery in Marshalltown, Iowa. And according to cemetery staff, after Bud died, Blossom's grief was as evident as any human's.
Her behavior was it was quite a change.
General Manager Dory Tommen says Blossom started hanging out near the front office, always staring at herself in the glass or the model tombstones.
She wanted company.
Even if it's just a reflection.
Yeah.
And that's when Dory got a crazy idea. A hysterically lovely, crazy idea. She posted a personal ad that read in part, "Lonely widowed domestic goose seeks life partner for companionship and occasional shenanigans. I'm youthful, adventurous, and lively."
I mean, what are the odds you're going to find some goose, a male goose?
Oh, in Iowa?
Apparently, this state is lousy with bachelor geese.
So the phone rings?
Mm-hmm.
And what do you hear? Honk, 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 honk.
No, I didn't hear anything like that.
Instead, she heard humans Deb and Randy Hoyt, owners of a widower goose named Frankie.
He needed a mate.
Yeah, and plus he's so lonely.
You know, I thought, well, that'll be great, you know.
And so they set up a blind date where Blossom welcomed Frankie with open wings.
They started walking off together, and they haven't really left each other's sides since.
A loving reminder that until your last day is etched in stone, don't ever give up on finding goosebumps. Steve Hartman on the road in Marshalltown, Iowa.
Man, I love his stories. How about that, huh? Blossom the goose.
That's a fantastic story. If I was going to be a roving reporter for any kind of journalistic endeavor, it would be something like that. It would be like that guy or like Jeannie Most from CNN. They do like the really fun public interest stories. Man, good for Blossom. I am glad for Blossom and for Frankie. I don't like to see animals in distress. I don't like that at all. So this is a good story, Barry.
Uh-oh, this just in, Joe. They attacked each other and now they're both dead. No, just kidding.
Oh, stop. That's horrible. Why would you say something like that?
They're animals.
Finally,
they're animals,
come
for
on.
crying out loud.
Oh,
Come
stop.
on.
Come on. No, come on. It's the first good news story we've had in 2 days, and then you want to try to blow it up by having them commit goosey suicide together.
Goosicide.
Goosicide, yeah. No. I hope that they live a nice, happy, goosey life for many years to come.
Me too. Isn't that strange in the ecology of Earth where certain birds mate for life? Isn't that strange?
Is it strange? It's a survival technique. So it's just something that they have developed over millennia. So, but it is rare. Like monogamy in the mammal kingdom overall is very rare. It is not the default position for humans either. We are not a monogamous. We are not a heretically monogamous creature, meaning that it's not. Yes, here we go. It's not built into our DNA to be monogamous as humans, but that's just, whatever. It's a choice that we make. But yeah, it's strange. So geese do this, right? Others do it for a season. I think like maybe ducks mate for a season, and then don't leave. I think penguins do that for the same reason. Some mammals and some bird species actually do hang out together for that mating season just to make sure that their chicks or their young survive that first, season of being alive. So anyway, it's interesting. Yes, it's very interesting, Barry. All very interesting.
On this episode of Nova.
Oh, please. Oh, man, I wish I could do Nova. I'm not smart enough for that. That's like, you got to have PhDs for that kind of stuff.
All right, Joe. Well, that's it for today. I mean, I do have a rumor. Would you like to hear a rumor about Friday's show?
Oh, sure.
Turns out our buddy, the insane Daryl Wayne, got a chance to sit down and talk to Weird Al Yankovic.
Oh. Weird Al himself?
Yeah, and they're original friends. They go back to the beginning. Daryl Wayne was one of the guys that discovered Weird Al with, what's his name? Barry? Dr. Demento?
Oh, man, I loved Dr. Demento. We used to listen to Dr. Demento as kids all the time. He was funny. Oh, my goodness. Oh, so that's really cool. Wait, was he made a character in the Weird Al biopic that Daniel Radcliffe just did?
No.
I know it's not based on the truth or anything, but
no, I don't think so. I didn't remember any radio scenes in that. I don't think so.
Oh, that's too bad. That was a big part of that's how Weird Al started. So Daniel Radcliffe, I admonish you for that. You gotta get some radio in there in your biopic. Come on.
Well, we'll hear from Weird Al himself Friday on the program, and then we'll hear about your snowboarding trip too. But we'll be back tomorrow for a Wednesday episode of the Barry Funkhauser Show. See you then.